everybody. Liz here with Springfield Leather, and this is the Make Something podcast. We've got the one and only George Canfield in the studio today, or as we just discovered, the dungeon.
We stormed the castle.
We did. We have stormed the castle on this post Labor Day Tuesday, and we made it all the way to the dungeon, and we're going to fight dragons with you guys today. It's going to be fun.
And if we can get in, if we win, we're going to skin them and make something out of them.
That's right. We're going to make some leather.
Dragon hide.
I hear that that's really powerful in the video games.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I love to do is I don't just want to kill the sacred cows. I want to kill them, skin them, have a steak, and make leather out of them. And then, by gosh, we'll make a holster.
That's right.
There shouldn't be any sacred cows in the leather industry. Although I see a lot of people try to act as, let's say, gatekeepers.
To leather crafting or
correct.
Yeah.
So where somebody's asking a question and they're trying to tell them, well, I do it this way, obviously a very advanced methodology,
right? And
they're not bringing it down. So I love the fact that you guys get rid of a lot of that and make this accessible to the leather workers. So
one of the things that I always come back to just for my own self and my own leather crafting is humans have been leather crafting since the begining. Since we figured out.
We killed that first dinosaur.
That was, because it was a way to protect our feet, protect our families. And, it started with feeding ourselves. We needed to eat something.
Well,
then we figured out how to use the hide as a material. This was long before any sort of weaving would have
but let's look at what weaving was. Okay, and weaving at the time, you had a loom that was maybe 12 to 18 inches wide, and the amount of time they had to put into it. A set of clothing in early medieval times that had been woven and put together. I was reading an article. It is associated with the price of a really good used car.
Oh, wow.
Is what the clothing would cost.
Yeah.
But now a sheep or a goat or, an animal, that deal, provided material that was already big and didn't have to be patched together. Mm-hmm. So leather was very effective and cost effective, on the individual level.
Yeah. And very sturdy.
And textiles were something that were very expensive at the time.
Yeah. Lots and lots of labor to get that done.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a deal.
George, I know we just jumped right in, but for those in the community that don't know George Canfield, which I don't know how you don't know George Canfield, tell us about yourself. Who is George? Who are you in the leather industry? How did you get here?
Well, I don't know if I'm anything in the leather industry. I'm in EDC Leather. Mm-hmm. I'm a partner in EDC Leather. And my partner is Garrett Holt. He couldn't be here today due to the holiday, meant that he had just tons of meetings this morning. Okay.
You let him do all the hard work, don't you?
Well, everybody that knows me knows it's a statement that George doesn't sew. Okay. My primary job is to draw pictures, drink caffeine, and drop the F-bomb a lot. But that's what I do, and we do teaching. And then, Garrett sets up all of our production. Mm-hmm. So what we've managed to do is we each specialize in what we have time and where we like, and then each person trades off taking lead for what we're doing at the time. So when we're getting ready to do a production run of 200 to 600 holsters, Garrett's setting up the shop, having us move everything around, get everything set up and marked. Mm-hmm. And then he is the whole lead on that project for weeks until we get that completed. When, like right now, we're getting ready, we're like 6 weeks out of having the newest holster book come out. And he's had me, at that point, then I'm drawing the patterns and he's testing and coming back to me, and so that we can do that. So then I take lead at that point, and we go back and forth, if that makes sense.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And Garrett is?
Garrett is Garrett. What are you asking?
Well, how did he come into the business?
I've known Garrett since he was yay high.
He was a little guy.
And his father was an amazing armorer.
Oh, okay.
That way, right? And over the years,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and Garrett and I were both gamers, so storming the castle is us. We're all about that. Garrett now is in a global corporation. He's kind of a high mucky muck on their digital and database type stuff like that. And I drive a truck. So
And together, you guys have come together to do EDC leather,
right.
and to make the holster world. You've really fleshed it out, I feel like, quite a bit.
Yeah, well, that's actually Garrett's fault.
Okay.
I came from the equine industry.
Okay.
Mostly saddle making, stuff like that. I've been in this industry since 1969.
Yeah, tell us about.
When I was 5, 6 years old, we had a saddle shop. My granddad's saddle shop.
Oh, wow.
And
in the area?
Oh no! This we had one in Virginia, one in France.
Oh, okay.
And harness and saddle work. And my dad was the oldest of 13 kids.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah. And all the uncles worked in the saddle shop. So now you can imagine how many grandkids are running around. And my grandfather never saw a kid he liked. So
he had 13 of them and none of them worked.
Well, I mean, all the grandkids running. You can imagine. Yeah. I don't know how many we were at one time.
A lot of children.
And we would do everything from what we called normalizing hides. When you glass slick a project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back then in the late 60s, early 70s, we got whole hides.
Okay.
And they're much too heavy for people to handle.
Yeah.
So the uncles would split them down the back, just like a split, just like a side that you buy now.
Sure.
And then we'd wet them out.
Whole veg hides?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
And in the harness industry, that was also necessary because you'd be bringing harness strapping back and forth across the hide to get the full length.
To get the reins that you wanted. Okay. Right.
And then we would be wetting hides out on the table. And then little kids on top of it, we're sitting here pushing glass slickers. They were made of wood at that time in order to normalize the hide. A glass slicker, I think, is something a lot of people really don't know about. There's a problem in the industry. Tools, and people don't know what the tool's really designed for, and the names are sometimes confusing. So a glass slicker, you think that that's going to slick the leather. Well, no, what we want to do is compress the leather,
fibers,
right? And so when you got uncles in the stall and he's sitting there carving out fenders, he doesn't want to be carving this way, then have his knife take off and then come this way. So you want to get it what we called normalized.
Interesting. Do you know where your family was bringing that leather from?
Actually, most of it was Herman Oak.
Was it?
Time. Yeah, we've had a long relationship with Herman Oak.
That's amazing.
Which was a blessing in the holster industry because we were just babies for buying leather. But Shep, Todd Salzman at the time, guys like that really were willing to give us that chance and listen to what we needed.
Yeah.
So we progressed from buying just regular strap to a process they've done for years and years, but people just don't know about it anymore. Okay. And that's our compressed or plated leather. You may hear it called sometimes. With the process they do for us, we call it holster prep. They have this big fancy new machine come in, and I think we roll it over 50 tons after it's been cased out. And then they allow that to dry, and then we get it, and we don't put hair sew on it.
Right.
So for all of y'all that get your veg tan in, you see the little hair follicles? They don't exist. They put them there for you. Okay. So we have them do it on a mirror polished wheel because I was just being a smart butt. And I sit there and said, well, Todd, we're sculpting this. I don't need your hair cell. And he goes, let me show you something.
Because you're getting black from them, right?
We moved 4 years ago to a lot of pre-dye.
Okay.
Okay. So we get... And the whole process is normal up until that it goes first to the dry room.
Yep.
So that means on the pre-dyes, they've been tumbled and dried and then ran through the felt dryers and then back in the dry room. Okay. And then normally it would be ready to ship out to somebody.
Right.
Now then they take it and they call what they call flow coating, which is just casing the leather. Okay. And they get it damp again. And then it goes onto a pallet for like a day or two. And until that humidity goes all the way through the leather, and then they press it for us, and they probably lose an ounce to ounce and a half. Then after that, they split it for us.
Gotcha.
All right. So on their black and on their chocolate brown, they can do what's called strike through dyes.
Okay.
Yep. They can't do it on the other colors due to the size of the molecules of the dyes in the mordants trying to get into the leather. So they do that for us there. Okay. And so we get their black and their chocolate that way. And then we have them do a chestnut, but that's the spray bar because you can't go strike through. So that has to wait until everything is done because we want it spray barred on the flesh side as well as the
Right.
outside.
Yep. You want both sides colored.
Okay. And the thing is, for what they charge us to do that, we cannot afford to purchase the dye
And do it in house.
and do it in house.
That's
Just
right.
money, as well as where else can I lose 2 hours per rig in production time?
That's right.
So we do pre-dye on those, as well as we do a lot of natural. And you have some of our natural product out here as
We
well,
do.
I think. Now we do the holster prep or this plated leather, which by the way you can get from Herman Oak or Wickett and Craig as well.
Okay.
Okay. We believe that it provides us some advantage as far as consistency,
Yeah.
in our product, but it's absolutely not necessary.
Right.
I mean, in fact, for years, we got all of our strap here.
Right.
All right. So, guys that may not be familiar, we have 2 kinds of edge. We have skirt. You can tell them what skirt is, Liz.
Skirting is for the holster, or not the
No.
holster, but for the saddles.
It's for the saddle,
Yeah,
but
saddle industry.
11 to 15 ounces.
It's unleveled. They measure. I actually learned this not too long ago. It's been a few years now, but we were struggling. We would get in our heavy saddle skirting, and we just have a gauge that is maybe a foot long, or like the
Oh my
10
gosh.
inches.
Yeah.
And so we're gauging it, and of course it's unleveled, and so you're kind of gauging up in the front and
Right.
in the neck, and everything is 18 to 20 ounces, maybe like
Right.
over that. It's all super heavy, and so for a long time my gathering department was super confused. They were like, okay, well, we're getting 12 to 14, 13, 15, 14 plus, but it all gauges the same, and so they couldn't figure it out. And finally, remember Rourke that used to work
Yes.
here? He had come down one day, and gathering was just having this problem, and we just we couldn't figure out what was going on, and we were just turning everything into extra heavy, it was all extra heavy. And so finally I was like, Rourke, how do you guys gauge this?
And
What
he's
do you
on
do?
the production floor at Herman Oak now. I
Correct.
just saw him the other day. Yeah.
And so he comes in and he says, Liz, we have a gauge that's like a 16-inch gauge. They have a really long one. And they say we gauge in the armpit. So they go in where the neck and the shoulder come in.
Correct.
Into the belly, kind of up in that section where it's going to be the thinnest of the hide. And that's where they gauge. And that is your range. So the thinnest part of the hide will be 12 to 14 in that armpit. It'll
Exactly.
be 13, 15 in that armpit. But everything else is unleveled, because a lot of times the guys are making weighted reins. And so they want the ends to be this heavier, but they want
Correct.
the center to be lighter, because that's where you're holding it. And I just blew my mind. It blew my mind that day.
And then did you notice the difference in shape? So in heavy skirt,
Mhm.
okay, but then also when we get into our harness, the chest plates are huge.
Okay.
Okay, that's going to mean what's in front of that shoulder, big,
Mhm.
because that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
In those products. Whereas in strap, it'll come down from the neck and right down to the leg, and so the leather shape has evolved with what they're tanning and using for different products based on what the user what
Mhm.
the end user needs. Now I will take skirt because I think skirt holds the oil a little bit heavy, a little bit better
Okay.
in the process when they're making it. So the emollients, fatty liquors, things of that nature in there, it holds it a little bit better
Yeah.
and can provide you some advantages in some of your products. But then strap,
Mhm.
typically 10 ounce is going to be about the heaviest you see, usually,
Yep. 10 to 11 is. Yeah.
in there. And then in the holster world, we work with 8 ounce.
Right.
It just works well for a wide spectrum of products. And I don't
Yeah.
want to carry 15 different sides of leather to do the job I'm trying to do.
Right. And for a lot of what you're doing, you want something, you don't want this big, huge, chunky thing that somebody has to wear on their side. You want kind of like the slimmest thing that you can get away with.
Minimus.
Yeah. For comfort, for carry, for invisibility to some extent on the conceal and carry options. But yeah, so that totally makes sense.
Right. And then for us, so we continually see it. I'm sure that you see it, and the people watching this have seen this on social media, or they may have asked this question before. What is the best leather to get? And oh my gosh,
There's always,
it
what's the best leather?
or what's the best dye? Or
Hmm.
what's the best this? Well, there is no one best. Just like we've talked about, we're just in the veg tan world here.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, we haven't gone into chromes or oil or anything of that nature. And the way they treat that leather makes it better for one product versus another one.
Right.
And this is where there's no one best leather. My next question is, what do you want to make?
Yeah.
But they've had 40 people that woke up this morning with a strict goal in their mind of trying to tell somebody what they know, giving them bad information.
I feel like leather is a world of caveats and what ifs and therefores and
But this is
however.
where you can leverage Springfield leather.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you call in, you're going to get somebody back here, on order taking. Okay,
Mhm.
but you can ask for somebody on the floor who there knows about holsters.
Right.
And they're going to give you to the young man we were just talking about.
Yep, Austin.
They're
Yep.
going to give you to Austin, okay? And Austin's going to say, "What are you making?" And you're going to say, "Well, I'm going to make a pancake holster." You're going to say, "Okay, I think I want to direct you more towards 8-ounce strap."
Mhm.
Okay, and that's going to let you mold it and all that. So you can leverage Springfield Leather's product knowledge to get you the right product for the job.
Absolutely. I mean, not everybody here knows everything, but we have a really wide base of people that do a lot of different things. And so we always try to, I mean, that's something that we encourage, whether you're working on the floor or in the office on the phones or answering emails, doing things. Like if you don't know, go ask somebody, because probably somebody in the shop has done that, or somebody on the floor has done that, or maybe somebody in the office has worked on that project. And we'll always try to find the best person to get whatever request it is satisfied.
It's not always going to happen, but there's
No.
sometimes here that an employee will actually experiment with you.
Absolutely. I
So
do that all the time.
you had some fish skin here,
Mhm.
not the big around pie, but it was actually like a
Like a
carp.
carp. Yeah.
Okay, and I love that because as a holster maker, we use small pieces of
Mhm.
leather to embellish with. Okay,
Yeah.
and so I need a small pattern so it shows up.
That's
And I
right.
was trying to figure out how to dye this. And one of the young men that was here, I think he's actually may own his own leather company now, or
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
making product.
It happens.
We sat there and we started playing with dyeing techniques because at your dye station, I think for videos or whatever,
Mhm.
everything was set up at once, whereas I was set up for my straight dip dye
Right.
in production. And we found a method that worked, and I bought you out because but that was actually, and I didn't have to be here. I mean, I could have described what I was
Oh,
trying to do and
absolutely.
got
Yeah.
photographs back on the
Yeah.
phone. And so I think
No,
that
the leather industry is so varied, and you get the most random requests all the time
yeah.
for different things. And so a lot of times, it may not be something that anybody here has done personally, but we'll be like, well, that's a neat idea. Let's see if we can figure it out.
So
And
Liz, we
so,
just talked about using this.
Mhm.
Grab that little bag here. This is this a complete? So this is a bag of your
that's
exotic
Kevin's
scrap.
exotic scrap bag.
I still buy these
Awesome.
because they make money. So what does this one cost? What's this? 2-3 pounds?
I'm gonna say maybe 25 bucks. Kevin's exotic scrap bag.
Okay. All right, we're gonna pause for a second on the edit. Clap. 20 bucks.
20 bucks.
We'll stash that with you because you can pull that out in a little bit. I'm gonna pull out. Actually, this is from one of the new books. I saw it in here. Okay. There it is.
All right. So yeah, somebody comes to Springfield Leather. They don't really know what they need. They decide, I'm going to buy an exotic scrap bag, see what I can do with it. I've never tried exotics before. I just want to experiment.
Well, they do that, and then a lot of times they're coming back in. There'll be a couple of nice big pieces in there. You can do a whole wallet back or something. But a lot of times they're sitting there looking, going, "Oh, there's this tiny piece of leather. What can I do with it?" And the standard answer comes back, key fobs or something like that.
Right.
Now, in my industry, especially on a molded holster, we really can't carve a retention holster because we're asking so much out of that leather to retain that firearm. We don't want to cut it.
Okay.
So we embellish using exotics.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys embellish doing amazing dye jobs. I mean, this is
There's
art.
been a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to do that. There's a lot of things I'm not allowed to do anymore. But let's take a look at this here. This is a new book coming out, new products. It's called the Compact SL,
Okay.
which I'm not good at naming. So it is a stacked loop. And
A
so that
stacked
gets,
loop.
we can do
Okay.
that in later. But I want you to look at it. This little reinforcement panel starts here and only goes to here. Well, how big do you think that is?
Yeah,
2 to 3 square inches?
Yeah, you probably have 2 inches wide by like 4 inches long. So
Okay.
maybe a whole 8 square inches possibly
Total?
that you would need to, and even it's curved, so you could, cut it out of a funky looking piece.
Well, so let's just look here. You're not going to get a wallet out of this.
No, but this little.
But
piece
I'll
of lizard,
bet you right there, I can get 2 of those out of there.
Yep.
Okay, so
I think,
and that is $50. That's $50. We do a straight. There are amazing carvers out there, but carving is a lot like putting a swimming pool in your house. Okay, so if you put an in-ground swimming pool in your house, you have absolutely added to the value of the home, correct?
right, but you've also added a lot of problems.
But we also have people when I'm trying to sell that house that may not be willing to maintain the pool, or they have children. They believe there's a risk to their pets or their children or something of that nature. So you've cut your available market down by as much as 2/3.
Right.
I believe carving does the same thing. What's beautiful to me, Liz, you might look at and go, why?
Right. That's
Why
not my
did you do that?
style. Or
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
So there's such a thing as being true to yourself as an artist. But if you're trying to sell your product, carving is a very personal thing, and you end up losing as much market base as you gain. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I mean, you can also kind of go the other way of offering like custom, like somebody's going to order something specific and you're going to put it on a thing, but that's kind of a different ballpark.
That's another whole subject.
Yeah.
I never do custom. Never do custom. And the other thing,
people are picky.
Well, what it is though, I can never recreate for you in a custom build what you see in your mind.
Yeah.
So no matter how good a job I do, okay, no matter how excited you are by the finished product, there's always in your mind, it could have looked like
those little something else.
And we couldn't do it.
Right. Right. Or like just because maybe somebody doesn't understand how leather functions or the different things, whatever they have in their mind isn't actually accomplishable with the product.
So we grabbed one piece out of this $20, I believe, bag.
$20 bag.
Okay. We over doubled our money, and look what I've got left.
Most of it.
So we like to use, and that is shark there.
Which is really hard to get right now because there's a CITES situation.
There needs to be.
They're not harvesting it. I think that's something that the people, whoever that is, we're going to talk about the people that live above us in the sky, are working on it. But
I was a terrible person actually being part of the push to really limit shark harvest.
Were you?
Yeah, I did a lot of letter writing, a lot of talking to different representatives, things like that. And here's the reason why. 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we used to get shark with amazing topography. And topography, if you look at the little lumps and all that of the shark, it was beautiful. These were from mature animals.
Yeah.
Okay. And the shark was being harvested for other reasons. And the skin, it was a byproduct like anything else. Then we got to the point where the leather rolls started kicking up enough that they were being harvested for the skins and nothing else. And there were no controls on it. So all of a sudden we started getting low figure in our shark hides. You should have seen this over the years, Liz. What happens is because there's no controls, they were harvesting immature animals.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why the quality was going down. So I know, I told you, we're not only going to kill that sacred cow, we're going to make a steak and eat and all that. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want anything to do with elephant or whatever. Well, elephant is one of the most highly regulated leathers you can get. And when you buy that from a good retailer, don't buy your elephant behind a Publix grocery store from a guy in a van. You don't know where it came from.
Okay.
But if I come to you and I buy elephant, I know pretty much, I can tell you 99% of the time it's going to be from Zimbabwe. They manage their stocks of animals very closely. they're only harvesting
The elderly, or I think the rambunctious bulls.
things that could cause
Yeah,
problems in order to improve the overall health of that stock.
right. And
So,
also keep the locals at bay to help
correct.
manage, because like they're trying to grow their food and like survive. So it's a delicate
They're
ecosystem.
doing a balance,
Hmm.
and this is a huge part of the income the country makes. Everything to
Correct.
sport hunters to photojournal, to
Yep.
photographers to the leather industry.
Yep.
So I know that I'm getting a something that's been humanely harvested,
Yeah.
okay, and taken care of in every step of the way.
Yeah.
Sharks not,
And that's, you just told me things that I didn't know
and
that was going on.
we've
So
seen the problems.
yeah.
So um, don't everybody has to, you stay true to yourself
Hmm.
as an artist, as a person.
Right.
Okay. And if you feel that there's a particular exotic leather that you don't want to participate in because of your personal beliefs, I am 100% behind you. That is
For
the
sure.
perfect reason to do that. But I don't want you making decisions based on bad information,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you know.
No, and I think it is really important. I mean, I would like the animals of the world to survive and to live decent lives and not be, I mean, you look at the overfishing of the seals and all the things for the fur trade as the 1700s and the 1800s, as we swept across the United States, and we did all of that, and we really wrecked a lot of ecosystem that way.
We
um
did.
and so I don't want to do that today. I don't want to do that in the leather industry. I don't want that to be, part of something that I'm a part of, and something that I feel really strongly about
Right.
is such an it's I mean, leather is an amazing product. It can last for such a long time. It's way better than any plastic you'll ever have. um I don't, maybe not with a holster because kydex is, but and that's actually something we should talk about: leather versus
And we'll
kydex.
get specifically into
um
holsters, but I do think
but for the leather side of
the
things,
leather's important.
it is. It's very important, for humanity throughout the time. We're probably always going to eat some amount of meat as humans. Maybe we won't eat as much meat as I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna, but that's probably going to be something that we do. We are
Right.
carnivores to some extent. We eat both things. What is that called? What is it when you do
You're an omnivore.
omnivore? Thank you. It's been a while since I've had to use that word in my
And
vocabulary.
they have, yes. When I hit the buffet, I am an omnivore.
Yeah, you know but it is important that we also look at what it is doing to the live animal population side of
Correct.
things, and make sure that that is sustainable. So thank you for reaching out and doing your due diligence to make sure that that is something that we can be proud of
Right.
as
And
leather crafters.
part of what's caused the problem is uh, leather as a commodity and leather goods being produced, as a product worldwide. It has gained enough value that it's starting to drive some of these markets
Yeah,
instead of it just being a byproduct. So at that point, I think as a leather worker, it's very important that we try to pay attention to what we're doing and direct that. So
absolutely.
everybody that is an activist in the leather world, I laud you. I appreciate you. You're what's going to save the future,
Right.
for all of us. So let's do it. So we've covered
We talked
this.
about using, and I will say all of the scraps that we get, and that we sell in our scrap bags, there are different things. They all come from manufacturing. They all come from boot manufacturing. So
Instead of being wasted.
instead of being going to a landfill, because the bootmakers are pretty picky about, Luke Casey isn't going to cut some blemish on a piece of elephant or whatever. They're going to cut the really prime part. And so they, end up with these pockets that are perfect for holsters. They're perfect for knife sheaths. And so instead of that leather going into a landfill and becoming waste, we buy it by the pound and then we resell it in scrap bags so that our customers can use cool leathers,
That we would
get
never
a
have had a chance at.
we never had a chance at, that are already in this country. They're coming in anyways for the boot making, and we're making sure that it doesn't go into a landfill.
Absolutely.
So
And well, for example, we buy what I call the quillless ostrich.
yeah.
So a lot of the ostrich boot makers and things that I know and people that make beautiful products, they want to use the quill, that big
Hmm.
diamond. So a hide is what?
16 to
16
20.
to 18, 20 feet.
Yeah, something like that.
And there's a 3-foot diamond of premium quill. So here's the rest of it. And I think I've come in here and we've ratted around and I've got some before.
No, we have aisles of ostrich.
I overdye black because I think I'm not color sensitive then. I can just overdye it black. But when you get into that area, you get this real subtle wrinkling happening. Oh my gosh, it looks like high class on a holster.
It's beautiful.
And ostrich is gummy enough. Okay, we do it. But now we have a trick on ostrich.
Okay, what's that?
All right, you're gonna have to practice this, guys, and it's gonna make a mess. So don't do this in the kitchen. That's from a message from my wife to y'all. I take a stapler off a stapler and I will staple the hide to a piece of wood.
Okay.
Flesh up.
Okay.
And so now you know that that's all stringy and you're trying to glue up ostrich, and ostrich leather doesn't even like ostrich leather.
No.
I have a little bronze wheel.
Okay.
You know, the wire brush that you use in Russ.
Yeah.
But it's a bronze one. And I put it on my drill and I start running it over that. And you're slinging strings of leather everywhere. Oh my God. and then it's going to bind up in there and you got to use it. Don't use your wife's hairbrush to do this. But you need to get the
George,
leather.
have you learned some lessons?
She was really glad when I got the shop. But when you string that out like that, you're going to be careful so you don't tear through. Okay. Now you've reduced the thickness of the leather.
Okay.
And now I'm getting down to that outer 11 layers of dermis. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then the next trick we figured out, so it's beautiful. Now I can glue it up. But the few quills that we did get, which we wanted to highlight, went flat.
Yeah.
We smashed them down. So what are we going to do?
Do you pack them a little bit?
That's exactly what we did. Well, I took glue, just Masters.
Okay.
Wiped it on the cut table. And next day, come back and you start rolling up little balls, okay? And then Garrett would spray a little bit of 77 spray and we would tuck them in there.
I love that.
But I would never do this on a full quill. Oh my God.
No.
But when you just have 3 or 4, it's something really nice to do. But see, there is a part of the leather that's typically not used. And I found this leather buying ostrich legs from Springfield Leather. So when you get some of the big ones, you've got this great scale here going on. But then at the top and the loin, here was this really pretty leather.
Fun, wrinkly stuff.
But we didn't have enough. And then when I got to look at the rest of the hide, we did have.
Yeah.
So
I think kind of like a mix between like the quill and then some of the smooth parts before you get into some of those more textured areas. You know, like if you're building a briefcase and you have bought a whole hide and you're going to use, but like for gussets and different things, like that smooth leather is quite nice. It's very beautiful. And you just have to figure out how to get rid of that fleshiness on the back, because I do know that is.
And try that sometime.
Yeah.
Don't do it at home.
My husband is a knife maker, so he's used.
You're used to it.
Yeah, things are just dirty.
So the next thing that we've got, we just talked about ostrich leg.
Okay.
Ostrich leg is a great material, and I got told by a guy at a museum once, it's probably as close to a dinosaur as we're going to see.
It is.
And it was really fun.
One time we got in like little chicken legs.
Actually,
do you remember those?
No, we buy those, and right now they're very hard to get because they were done in the Ukraine. We get both chicken and turkey. That's what I was going to bring up. So I'm going to do a holster.
Okay.
So I can use one of the ostrich legs to get that great pattern, right? But now I'm going to do a mag pouch.
Okay.
It's much smaller.
Yeah.
And if I use that big texture, does not look good on that project.
You lose.
So when we go to turkey or chicken, we're scaling it down. So when you guys get that back in, it'd be really good. Problem is we were buying them from the Ukraine.
Okay. I was gonna say, we got them in once, like kind of in like a weird thing. Like I think one of our exotics guy was like, "Hey, I have this batch of chicken legs." And we were like, "Get out of town."
I've been buying them for years.
Interesting.
You know,
well, that's sad. So you haven't been able to get any ice in a minute.
It's been pretty hard and pretty spendy. We do keep some in, depending on what a person
How much does
wants.
a chicken leg run you?
We get them in sheets, like this, and they've been kind of stitched together,
like an eel hide.
Yeah, kind of like an eel hide is how we get those.
Okay.
And I want to say, at one time we were buying them for like $4 a sheet. We'd have to buy 100 at a time, and that covered
chicken
shipping.
legs are cheap.
Right, and now it's like $18 for that, which is pretty spendy.
It's quite a bit of inflation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they blew up the place where they do them. They do
Yep.
turkey legs as well. So
Interesting.
remember, we talked about the figure or the quill on the
Mhm.
ostrich, and for the kind of products that I build. And so we want to look at the texture of the product of its size to the project you're making
Absolutely.
so that it's visible. We talked about using the carp instead of the big. So
Mhm.
um,
I was say because the Arapaima, like those Pararoku skins, I mean, sometimes you'll get those and you'd
that's
only
bigger
have
than
2 of
that.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't look good, plus they're literally you probably couldn't do it because it's so textured on the top, you're gonna be, like, sewing down, there would be no
Right.
edging,
So
and it
once
just wouldn't
again,
make
we're
sense.
back to
Yeah,
best leather. What's the best leather?
yeah.
So we're looking for to achieve different things out of our leather to do the particular project you're looking at. So that's a challenge that we have to deal with. Um, and then how to put on, and how to, draw these holsters. I don't know. Here, Liz, promote me. Tell them about my fancy book because we write stuff.
You do. So, let's see here. How long ago did you start producing your patterns?
Uh, Probably about 2012
Okay.
in that area.
So EDC started 2010, but you'd been doing your
We
saddle
were
stuff before then.
right, and then we were pretty much at that point doing custom builds and
Okay.
things of that
Yeah.
nature. And
Because really
although
for
that's
quite a like you had a store like people could come in for a while, like up on the north
right,
side of Springfield, they could come in, you'd, write down whatever
measure
they
them up.
needed, make them a holster. You have all the blue guns. You actually carry blue guns. People can buy those from you,
Right,
correct?
right.
Yep. So that's awesome.
Although
That's
we
good to
don't
know.
keep those in stock. I don't have
You
like
drop
fifty
ship them.
thousand dollars to do that.
Sure.
So I talked to John Ring, the manufacturer,
Hmm.
and when they order from me, an email just goes to him.
Nice.
And he fulfills it and he charges me like $2.50 to fulfill it. And I'm like, oh my God. And the reason we're cheap enough, why we're so much cheaper than everybody else, is because I don't have to touch it.
Yeah.
So if I clear $3 or $4 on a
You're
blue
happy.
gun,
It's
I'm
easy money.
happy.
Yeah.
But a guy that has to bring it in and stock, say if you tried to bring them in here and you have the retail store, you have the employees, you're moving them around, and then you're having to pack and ship them.
Yeah.
There's no way that you could sell at that price.
Right.
So I have the blue guns because I have a blue plastic addiction. This is a blue gun, Liz. And that's from a 1911. We have a few here,
Yeah.
but and we use them to mold the holsters. There's another blue
Yeah,
gun
because
in
it's
that
really
one.
hard. Well, and a lot of people don't want to leave their firearms with
It's illegal.
a I guess do you have to have a license
You
in
have to
order
have
to
an
do that?
FFL. Yeah.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of I mean, it takes some amount of work. I wouldn't say it's an unreasonable amount of work, but it is something that if this is a product you want to produce, that is a thing that you might have to go through if you want to do this custom
Right.
thing, or you invest in these
In the blue
and
guns.
in the blue guns, and you have the majority of what somebody might need in order to get one made.
Now here's where we get a little crazy. So yeah, they make them, but there's so many very, very specialized
Hmm.
procedures that we do in gun leather. And so there aren't a lot of tools to do it the way that we do it. So
Okay.
we end up, I'm that dumb guy that will invest $8, $10, $12,000 in trying to figure out how to do it ourselves.
Absolutely.
So for example, these are blue guns that we design and make
And printed.
ourselves.
Nice. I mean, I don't know a lot about this industry, but these look pretty comparable, and it looks like you can definitely get a good mold going.
They're actually more accurate and true than the blue guns are
Are they?
because dimensional stability of the material. But that material
Mm.
alone took me 2 years of working with materials compounding group out of Houston.
So this is a specialized material.
I have no idea why they even talk to me.
I think it's probably because you don't give up.
We're going to give it to him so this guy will shut up.
Well, and George, I think that is something that has always impressed me about you is you come up with an idea for something that you want to see. And just like last week, we were talking to Ryan Watson with Anvil Leather, and we talked a lot about how not all tools exist for what you want to do. And so sometimes you have to make one yourself or you
Right.
have to figure it out yourself. And so you are really a pioneer of, I'm going to figure out how to make this product better for me. And you are not afraid to go to the manufacturer. You're not afraid to call up Adam at Herman Oak and be like, my sir, I need something from you. Can you help me out?
And if
And I
you
think
do,
that advances the industry for everybody.
it's surprising the amount of people that are perfectly willing to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people just don't ask, but
Mhm.
you should. You can only be told no,
And
you know,
and
and
here's
you
something.
might be told yes or let me work on it.
I have a gift for you, uh, which I guess you guys get them anyway, but they sent me a whole herd of them. So this is the latest issue of Loom magazine came in last week because I have an article in it. And the
Nice.
article is how acrylic top finish cures.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I even did drawings and stuff. That's probably cool. But um I, was trying to figure out what was going on. A lot of people thin out acrylic with water.
Yeah.
So I called Angelus, talked to him,
Okay.
and he said, "Oh my God, don't do that." And then basically in this article, he gave me the whole thing. So acrylic doesn't dry; it cures.
Okay.
It has
So it like
it
hardens.
catalyzes when it does it. So what we have is a whole bunch of little happy.
You mean
pieces
there's a
of
chemical
acrylic.
process?
Yes, it's a chemical process, and he's a chemical fella.
Yeah.
Just ask him. So when it gets with air, as it starts to do it, the little pieces start linking together. So think about if you cut yourself,
Your skin stitches back up.
and you get the scab,
Yeah.
the platelets are linking together.
Yeah.
And they've developed the right amount to do it. And the way he put it to me, he says, George, if water was the best way to suspend this, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than what we're doing. I would just put water in it. Right.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is that when people thin it out with water, they have less little particles of acrylic per milliliter.
Okay.
So it's harder. They don't get to join up.
Yeah.
So now you got this finish here, but the minute the leather moves, they crack.
Sure.
That's it. And so I wrote a little article about that. So he sent me a bunch of them. So I gave you a copy.
Thank you.
Because I didn't know.
I will read that. We do, we talked to Reiner with Renia, and we were talking kind of the same thing with adhesives and how the adhesive, like putting the thinnest, we were talking about Aquilum specifically, and putting the thinnest layer because as it's drying, so as that air is working its way through, the top layer will seal before the bottom gets dry.
Right.
And so then you end up with this gummy thing. So if you have this big fat layer of adhesive, the bottom is never going to cure.
Correct.
Because what needs to release for that to cure can't get out because the top is already sealed up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now, the minute he explained it to you, you went,
Yeah.
and now you're probably getting some better adhesion results playing with
Exactly. So you can, understanding a process is like 9/10 of using a thing.
Right. And sometimes we use things wrong on purpose.
Correct. Do you have a story?
Back to Angelus. And when we dip dye, okay,
Which I don't recommend a lot of people do.
It depends on what your goals are.
Well, exactly. And I like if somebody just comes in and they don't really know what's happening, I'm probably not going to be like, just dump it in some dye, because then you don't really understand what you need to do after that.
Correct. There's a lot of things there. So, but guys, USNC Black, okay, from Phoebings. I always hear everybody going, "Oh my God, it doesn't work. You buffs forever." No, you're shaking it. Quit. Let it settle. Pour it off. You'll be just fine. It's a great black dye.
Tell us about your dip dyeing process.
So the dip dye, I called it Tom again.
Sure.
Hey, buddy. What about me reducing dye for tint? Using denatured alcohol. And this is where he was laughing when he did the acrylic thing, because that was the first time he told me, and he had no humor in his voice whatsoever. And he said, if denatured alcohol was the best carrier for dyes, I would probably just use that. And then he told me about their neutral dye. In Phoebings, I believe it's called Dye Extender.
Okay.
And Angelus, it's all called neutral dye. And we purchase that from you.
Yeah, I was going to say,
You've asked them.
Phoebe's, it's dye reducer.
Dye reducer.
Yeah.
And
then,
Angelus is just called neutral.
Neutral.
Okay. That is the carrier agent for the dye without any dye in it. Okay. And you can't call it thinning. He'll just almost hang up on you. It's always reducing for tint. So I memorized that. So that was that. But it's also part of our hardening process.
Okay.
Okay. So it's the reality of it, and regardless of how you apply your dye to the leather, okay, reduce for tint using a neutral or an extender, okay, and apply the dye properly for the mission, for the job.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit there with a Harbor Freight airbrush that is blowing more air than tint, and it's actually drying the dye before it gets to it for a wallet that's going to be in somebody's pants getting scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed.
Okay.
Okay, so at that point, I may use some lamb's wool and get some nice penetration. But now it's, oh my gosh, George, it's so dark. You can reduce for tint using the proper materials, and you'll be much happier with your final results.
Right. Kind of build up. You build it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also remember, sometimes it takes a day. So there
to really
is
settle into the leather.
No color of saddle tan in the world except for Phoebe saddle tan.
Okay.
And just doesn't make one. Nobody makes anything that is like Phoebe's Pro Saddle Tan. I don't care if it's 150, 160. I don't care if it's $200 a gallon. If you want that color, that's the only way you're going to get it. Okay. And so when we dye gun belts in that, oh my God, they look horrible. They're blotchy and they're all over the place, and you're angry. And so you leave them sitting on the table, you walk away, and a couple of days later you walk back and they're all beautiful as the dye leveled out. So sometimes what you see when you apply the dye is not what you're going to see
when it's done
for a finished product.
Yeah.
So
I do always like to tell people, you put your dye on, you give it a good buff, you gotta walk away, do something else, let it dry, let it cure in the leather, come back the next day, do
be
your
advised,
finishing.
it might take a day or two.
Okay. Yeah.
And buffing, when you put it on first, just walk away. Don't worry about buffing now.
You can buff
a
later.
little bit the next day. There's two things. You got into leather because you thought you were going to be artisanal and you're going to be cool and you're going to make funny, really cool stuff. And everybody's going to pat you on the head and tell you, how nice you are. The reality is we got into leatherwork because we love sharpening tools and we love buffing leather.
That's right.
Because that's what you really do.
Yeah, you're finishing edges and you're sharpening tools.
Let's talk about edges.
Okay, let's talk edges. I love edges. I spend way too long on them.
And a lot of people do. Okay, so this here, there's a few. You grab the edges on that or the other one there, okay? That's a wax-driven edge.
Okay. Is it Yankee?
I use a Yankee, and then we melt in something called a bra wax as well.
Okay.
You're from the boys down there at Conroe, Texas. We get some of our buffers from
them.
Campbell Randall.
Campbell, yeah.
Okay, and so we mix a little bit according to him, okay? So leather workers do the product for the customer.
Yes.
They do the edges to impress other leather workers.
Amen.
And I can take and do what's called a water finished edge.
That's never has a truer statement come out of your mouth.
I can do a water finish edge, and I can make it to where you can hold it up to here and you can read print in it. And about 6 weeks later, it's garbage.
Yep.
Okay. Wax-driven edges for us, coming from the harness industry.
Yeah.
Okay. We would drive wax in the edges of the reins. We also did compression, so that's where creasers were for, was to put that compressed edge, you know what I mean, to keep sweat and water and rain from migrating into the leather through the edge.
Is that what creasers are for?
That's like the roller creasers. You may remember the big Campbell number 13s with all the different sizes.
Yeah.
That's compressing a compressed layer along that edge to keep water from migrating into the reins.
All those old tools have very specific purposes that I feel like we've lost a lot of, or at least your newer people.
We're going to go off into a little bit of a direction for just a second.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's road trip.
We're going down a rabbit hole. You have the little overstitch wheels in there and the adjustable where you can change them out. Okay. everybody says they're to mark stitches with, right?
No,
No, they are not.
I mean, they do work for that, but that was not the purpose.
The purpose is so you take your stitcher, your sewing machine. Top looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The bottom just doesn't look so much, right?
Yep.
Dampen that down. Don't do it dry. Dampen it down. Take the proper overstitch wheel for the size of stitch you have, roll it, and it'll look as beautiful on the bottom as it does on the top. That's what an overstitch wheel is for. Quit trying to use it to mark stitches with.
Or just do both.
But you get that tool through leather, you're going to have to tune your rig to do it. Okay, but you can also use it even with hand stitching to dress that to get the stitches nice and round. And to stitch them out. Invariably, I end up calling it a stitch rounder, which is just some random thing that came off in my head. It has no relationship to the tool.
But it feels like a more accurate description
right. But
of
the
what you're doing.
The overstitch wheel is to go over your stitches to get them
get everything to look like the top.
And so that's a quick way to really improve your product. So now let's come back from that tangent.
Back to edges?
Yeah, back to edges.
Okay.
So a water edge, of course, anytime we're doing an edge, treat it just like guys that are painting cars. Prep is everything.
Yep.
All we're doing is pasting down the loose fibers. Okay, so they're not sticking up and being dull, and then we're wanting to top it off with something. Now we have a cool thing that we get to do with holsters because we dip. Yes, we do dip, and he doesn't hate us for this. We dip our holsters in acrylic.
Okay.
Because I want acrylic inside out. I want it in all the stitch holes.
Okay.
I want it there to make this thing last. Okay, and when we do that, we put it in a hot box. Come back, you remind us, and we will do a little discussion about hot boxes later on. It will change leather workers' lives.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Okay.
I've made one and gave them to a guy, and he called me up a year later and he said, "This is the only thing I've ever done that's actually changed how I do leather work."
All right.
And you can build it for less than $50.
Okay. so you dip it.
You dip it. I'm going to hang it up.
Okay.
At about the 15-minute mark, the acrylic's real plasticky. You know what I'm talking about. You can actually leave fingerprints, so you have to be very careful, and you're going to get it out. And grab your piece of antler or your edge slicker or something of that nature. A really smooth one, not just a wood one, but something really smooth. And all you're going to do is polish that plastic. You can get that edge that you're looking for by polishing the plastic, the acrylic.
Interesting.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
So 15 minutes in a hot box.
Polish those edges.
A kind of a sticky.
It's still a little tacky.
Yeah,
so you
still
be
a little
careful.
tacky. You're gonna, yeah, you have to figure out how to hold it. That's my problem. I make knife sheaths. They're hard to hold.
Shove a stick in there or cut a piece of acrylic. It's like the knife sheath, so it holds it. And then you just take a piece of deer antler and just
put it in a vise.
And remember, you're working your edges, your angles, and I think you'll like that. I think you'll like the results.
So you do. I mean, obviously, you're finishing everything beforehand. You've got all your sanding
You've
done.
Got to have a smooth
everything. Yeah, everything's ready for that final finishing. You're going to dip it, and then you go.
At that point, a wax-driven edge.
So you wax before it goes in the acrylic?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to heat wax. So you've got your Yankee wax that you can get here. We use a black for almost everything, and we use some of the neutrals.
Okay.
We've tried different colors, but it never matches the dye.
Yeah, the brown is like the weirdest, or maybe it's the tan.
There's like 5 browns.
And I'm just like, I don't understand.
Yeah, we've got them all, and we throw them around at each other. So what we're wanting to do at that point is we want to get the leather hot and the wax hot. Okay, and it's going to melt into it a little bit.
Yeah,
correct. And the Yankee wax is really wonderful. It's designed to do that. Beeswax doesn't work.
Okay.
A lot of people say they use beeswax. It's a terrible product.
I feel like some people use like a combo, like they'll kind of make their own wax slurry out of bees. I don't know if they use paraffin with it.
They've had a strange fantasy that beeswax is cool for that, but it's not, because the interior of your car gets 140 to 165 degrees. Beeswax melts at about 120, so therefore it will never cure a setup in the summer. It's a bad product for leather goods that you actually live a life.
Interesting.
Quit using it. Look at your setups, for the waxes. No, paraffin's very brittle wax. Yankee wax has already been mixed for you.
Sure.
It is a pretty doggone good compound.
I think that's been around for forever. Like, that's an old brand.
Yeah, and I think you guys are in the $6 a stick range.
Something around there. I'd have to look. I don't
When
remember.
we're stepping on a contract, we might go through 3 sticks in a month,
Hmm.
but a lot of people will go through 1 stick in 3 years.
Yeah. It's a very cheap product to use.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, there was a tool in the 1940s, 1950s called a shopsmith, okay?
Okay.
So now you can get from Springfield Leather, you can get some amazing burnishing tools and things like that that are high speed. You're gonna want about 3,000 RPM.
Okay.
Okay. Then we're going to take this might be something the guys can make. You're going to take and start wrapping some canvas, just
Hmm.
normal canvas, around a spindle.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to glue. And then you're going to roll it. And then you're going to come back next day. And you're going to glue. And you're going to roll it back next day until you got about a 1/4 inch thick.
Okay.
Okay. And now take the leather that you're going to use. So we would take 2 pieces of 8-ounce stitched together and start, we'll start laying it in, getting just a few little grooves started.
Yep.
Then we stop. Now we're going to take that Yankee wax and it's going to get messy
Hmm.
because we're cranking that thing on, we're pushing, we're melting wax into it, and we'll put a half a stick into that,
Interesting. Okay.
loading that up.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way to load that up, actually, Rusty here showed me
I was gonna say
years ago.
I feel like we do it on a much more base by, but maybe I've been doing it wrong. So you tell me.
Well, I mean, that's so we load it up and then we take a piece of leather and hold it against it and let it melt and try to get as much wax as we can down in there. Then we complete forming our grooves for our different
Hmm.
thicknesses. And so that way I can load it up, roll that product into there. We use a line machine that we actually got from here, from you guys used once, remember? I don't recommend a line machine for anybody in a normal shop. They are hateful. They want to kill you. There are no OSHA safety things.
No, you just turn it on and it's gonna suck you in.
And it will, yes, and it will kill you dead. But there was a machine called a shopsmith,
Okay.
and you can look it up on the internet, and you will find tons of them on the marketplace. All you got to do is go see how it works.
Sure.
And if the guy can plug it in, if it works, you'll buy it for $75 to $100. And it has a head on it that will go from 900 RPM, perfect for buffing dye.
Yeah.
Okay, and it will go all the way to 3,000 RPM.
Good old
perfect
variable
for
speed.
burnishing. How cool is that? And I guess you can build a cabinet with it by doing, all this. Okay, so there it is. There it is. You can find a picture where it stood up.
Where it stood up.
Yeah, that there's flat, but it also that head right there in the middle. The whole thing will stand up, and it will use it as a drill press. And the little
Okay.
where it says shopsmith, the little roundy handle there is just twisty twist, and it's a worm drive. You can fix that machine and rebuild it according to Garrett with the screwdriver and a pair of channel locks, but I'm not allowed to get near it when he's taking it apart because I did break something once. We had to buy another one. Well, he claims that I broke it, but I'm never going to admit it. But you can see him set up. If you put in a shopsmith set up as a drill press, you'll find it. Look at him doing all kinds of cool stuff. He's a fancy high tech fella. There, you see that? Go to the next picture. Boom. See how it stood up?
Uh-huh.
There you go.
All right.
Perfect high speed burnishing and all that. And you can use it as a drill and everything else.
So you're just wrapping canvas around that.
We
You have a special.
We just took a spindle,
Yeah.
and put on it and started wrapping, and it'll last for a year.
Yeah.
And then when it decides it's going to come off, it'll whack your knuckles and beat you up.
You'll have a good
little
time.
bit, but you're not going to like die. So it's like that. Now, see that guy there was somebody there was smart, much smarter than me, and actually got rid of the rest of the machine. We have a big bench sitting over our machine with our other drill presses on it. So
For sure.
that's how it works. But
Okay.
that's a handy tool that can be purchased very
Mm-hmm.
inexpensively by the leather worker. So when dyeing, we talked about dip dyeing. Let's go back to that real quick.
Okay.
Quick hint: you put your dye into a little tub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When you're dip dyeing, are
When
you
you're
are
dip
you
dyeing.
reducing?
It depends on the tint that you need.
Okay.
That's your decision based on you're reducing for tint when you
Right.
reduce. Okay. But the big thing I want you to remember is when you dip dye any leather product, you're going to get little crumbs and stuff like that. And we use automotive paint filters and we in a funnel and we pour our dye back into the original bottle.
Sure.
And get all the little crumbs out of it, because you won't notice it till it leaves a little fisheye mark on your leather, and you'll
Mm,
be an angry
you got a
leather
little spot.
worker.
So
Correct.
filter your dye, especially if you're using in that
Right.
quantity. Yeah.
Now, acrylic, you don't have to do that. The little Tupperware little tub thingy that you can pour it into,
Hmm.
you snap the lid back on, put it back up,
Call it a day.
call
Yeah.
it a day. So there's no need to do anything with that.
You just want to make sure that that Tupperware has a good
A
seal
good
so
seal.
that you're not evaporating
Yes,
and
ma'am.
hardening.
Yeah, not letting the air get
Yeah.
in and catalyze with it.
Yep.
The big thing with acrylic, though, that people talk about, they got streaks or lines or whatever,
Yeah.
is because they didn't wipe it off. They dumped it in, they hung it up. Well, now you have streaks of stuff coming off. So you want to use the fancy schmanciest paper towel you can find with no
A
lint.
good Viva.
Oh, Viva.
That's my
Bow,
preferred.
bounty. And I like to just take a big wad of it and very gently, with no pressure at all, just kind of wipe off all the excess so you have no streaking.
Okay.
Now let's look what we made. We made a poor man's engineered material, as we have a layer of acrylic,
Hmm.
a boundary layer of acrylic to leather, the leather itself, and then we repeat the process going outside and going out the other side. So you've made it, and then you see a lot of guys bringing their holsters here. This is not new, but give that a squeeze.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's not.
you can use it for a wheel chalk.
Yeah.
You know, and we want that rigidity from that product. So
Which is probably one of the reasons that you also use Herman oak.
very high density. So now
Yeah.
you talked about where you were measuring.
Yep.
Do we want to talk about the what we call shapes in the industry? It's called the shapes of the leather that
Okay.
you get, and what is the best leather? Well, for most projects in general, we say it's the bend.
Correct. It's that back portion. You've cut off the belly. You've cut off the shoulder.
Right,
You've
but
got
does everybody know
bend.
why it's the bend? Actually, when you
Or
only cut off the shoulder and the belly, you have a coletta. Okay, that's the bend in the butt.
okay.
Okay, we just want to talk about the bend right now. So let's think about our cow critter. Ooh, down here eating grass. Happy cow. Visualize a cow, people. And the cow's having its happy life, it's eating grass.
Hmm.
Well, as it has to eat a lot of grass, the belly has to expand and contract and stuff like that. So,
Just like ours do.
yeah, loose cellular, mine just expands. Loose cellular material makes for a gummy leather.
Yep.
Okay, but the cow has to walk. Boom, boom, boom. That means that up here in the armpit or in the loin, our leather is going to be softer and gummier
Yeah.
there as
It's
well.
got to move. It's got to be flexible.
Exactly. But now let's look at our leg. We don't have a whole lot of movement on this part of the leg going down, right?
Hmm.
But we are wrapping around a small radius. So if I'm going to use shoulders for holsters, it's not the best cut for it. But if I'm going to use it for it, okay, I'm going to orientate my holsters to where this goes down the leg
Okay.
instead of this
So
way.
you're going to start at the spine and you're going to come down
Right.
the
Well,
shoulder.
if I go this way, the leather naturally is wanting to curl around that direction.
Right.
Do you see how the difference?
Hmm.
So I want to pay attention to that. When I get into the neck, he has to move his neck back and forth and things of that nature. Chest plate's fairly static, but it's also designed to protect on the male, which most animals are steers,
Hmm.
so it's male, from when they're fighting and stuff like that. So the bend, all those areas have to move. If the skin has to move, then it has to have the capability to stretch and
Yeah.
move. When you get to the bend, that's from his back and down his side, and it's not moving.
No.
Naturally creates a dense cellular material, the leather. It's very stable. Once we get past the line into the butt, we're pretty dense and stable
Hmm.
there as well. Okay, so that is the premium leather. I was always taught from the time I was a little kid that every bill in the shop, that's labor, all materials, everything it costs to build something, must be paid for out of the bend.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you can
That's
make
how we operate here a
you
lot
can
of
make
times.
profit off the rest of it.
Yep.
Okay, so if you did nothing else, the bend pays for all that.
Right.
And leather holsters, that does, we stick with the bend and with the butt.
Hmm.
And then we may be pulling some belts, some shorter belts out of the shoulder.
Right.
On a gun belt, though, we're right back to the bend.
Yep. Because you need that rigidity. Yep. You need that
We-
tight fiber. You don't want it to stretch on you.
Right. And we want to create an engineered material again.
Okay. Sure.
So As we progress from the neck across the top of the shoulder to the bend to the back on the back to the butt, right? We're changing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So when we strap off belt straps, we mark everything ends to the front. It means this is the neck.
Yep.
So I'm going to take 2 layers to make a belt. I'm going to take 2 layers of 8 because I'm lazy. It's going to be a 16-ounce
George
belt.
only buys 8.
That's what I buy.
It's only 8.
And when I do that, I'm going to flip them butt to neck.
Okay.
So now what I'm doing is between the 2 of them, I have this more rigid where it may be more flexible here. I'm leveling out the properties across the whole length of the belt.
Interesting. All right.
And so guys, when you're starting to make holsters or something of that nature, if you want to make gun belts, whether you make holsters or not, belts will make you money.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody's got to hold their pants up.
They got to hold their drawers up and they got to hold a gun up. At that point, always cut off 4 belt strips.
Off of the top of the bend?
Off every hide.
Okay.
And I actually suggest coming from the neck because you're going to get a fellow like me who eats a lot of pizza. And you're going to have to do something at that point.
Right. You can always cut off, but you can't put it back.
Wrap it up, roll it up, put it in a gallon Ziploc bag, hang them on the wall, because you're going to sell one and you're all great. But then that same guy told all his friends, and now they're going to want a half a dozen of them. And you may have a hide that you just bought last week and you can't make a belt.
Yeah.
So always cut some belt straps and just hang them, even if you're not making.
I think that's a great tip. Yeah.
I want to see people do that.
Because then otherwise, I mean, like, we sell belt strips, but it's a lot more expensive to buy 1 or 2 belt strips from us, obviously, because we are doing that. We're blocking off the hide. We're doing all the labor to get it. And then we need to make money off those strips.
Yes.
Because the rest of it, you're selling a belly for, what is it, like $25-$30 for a belly. You're at $45 for a shoulder. That hide did not cost $75.
Right.
So each of those strips. So you can go buy one, but you're going to be investing a lot more money than if you're already buying a full hide. You just take those couple of strips off, just kind of pre-prep your inventory, and then start the rest of your work.
If I take a piece of 8-ounce strap, which right now 8-ounce strap in D as in dog or craftsman, I believe you call it, grade, and we'll talk about grades here in a minute. Once again, we're staying on what's the best leather.
Okay.
But if I buy that, I'm going to get maybe 10 good solid belt strips out of that whole thing. And if that's all I'm doing, I've got $22 a piece in a belt strip. And if I'm building a gun belt, I got $44 in that. And if I dye it, I'm at $48. And if I stitch it, now I'm at $60 or $70 cost in that belt. Now I put a buckle on it. And then the people will wonder why we charge $119 for a gun belt.
Right. And you're like, well, I'm barely making any money as it is.
Right. But remember, you're never going to say that. Ever. I hear this all the time. And you should hear that. I'm trying to talk to the customer and I'm telling them, well, leather costs this much and the dye costs this much. Never tell anybody that. It's none of their business.
Right.
What your business is.
This is the market price that you have set for your product because you know that it's worth it.
Times are hard. I understand. If you can't afford this right now, come back and see me. I'll have it for you when you're ready.
Yeah.
Do not tell people your business.
Right.
It's just not, it's unnecessary. And then I don't know.
Yeah. You don't need to justify your prices to somebody.
Correct. You should never do that. And it also cheapens it. The next thing that happens with that,
and then they start bartering with you.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. So I'm going to tell him, well, this costs this much, so I'm going to give it to you cheaper. Right?
Yep.
Never do that.
And then they're going to go tell somebody about it.
Well, no, not so much that. Let's look at what we just did psychologically to your product. Okay? That guy, if you say you gave him that belt and you give it to him for $55, in his mind, that will never be worth any more than $55. It's a $55 belt.
Yeah. Even though you've
lowered, you've lowered your brand. You've made yourself worth less money.
Yeah.
So what I tell the guys in the shop, and sometimes ad nauseum, if it's a friend of yours and you want to make something for it, give it to them.
Right.
Because the gift has no value assigned to it.
Right. A gift has the price tag. If they look up your website and they're like, I'm going to go buy it, that's what it has.
You've not lowered your perceived
correct.
value.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
I think that's a really great tip.
And you need to keep that value for your own mental health as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of leather crafters and even Kevin sometimes, he he wants to make a little bit of profit on this so that he can turn around and do this thing. And
Kevin is a drug dealer of leather. No. Here's what Kevin does. You think he's doing it because he's wanting to be nice and just no. Hey, George, you use this elephant for? No, Kevin, I never have. Well, I think you should. And I look at it, that's awful spendy. And he grabs a 5 or 6 foot panel. Take this. 400 or 500 square feet later, he's made his money back up. So he's the Mac Daddy of leather.
I do really like that description of Kevin.
He sucked me in.
I'm gonna have to start calling him that.
And literally he did that to me with an elephant, and it was some neck, which is that nice big kind of triangular type grain. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I bought the bejeebers out.
Well, and sometimes I feel, that's what he does with like the tent sale stuff, because he processes all that. We buy hundreds and thousands of feet of odd lot leather from tanneries that are off runs or stock that's been sitting around at a manufacturer for a long time that they're no longer needing. It's out of, whatever the fashion was for that year,
right.
Whatever that it is. We buy a lot of leather, and Kevin is always rolling, and he's processing, and he's making bundles, and he's doing this, and he finds his piece, and he's like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm going to put $10 on it, and I'm going to put it out front. And then somebody comes by and they buy that. And then they're like, well, that was really cool.
I need more.
And then they have to go and buy something that's regular
by
stock
then,
or
it's
whatever.
all put on the floor.
Yeah.
And now it's all regular price. But Kevin, depending on where you are, and now we're back. Now we're stepping out. So we're going tangent time. Let's go down a buddy hole.
Okay.
To the way Springfield Leather can help you as you grow from dealing on a hobby level to a small business level.
Tell us about how we've helped you, George.
Oh my God. Well, George, I'm not going to tell you how to do your business, but, and then, little nuggets, happen. So a lot of times when you're in anything from woodworking to whatever, you're trying to pick up little bits of information, but you walk into here and like with Kevin and Rusty and the guys here, and it's like panning for gold. They'll just drop you nuggets of liquid gold. If they're talking, be listening.
That's how I've learned 99% of what I know.
Exactly.
Just paying attention, just like having my ears open. Because Kevin's not really the type of person to sit down and do a one-on-one for a long time. He's not going to draw you up a plan, but he's going to talk to you while he's working with something. He's going to talk to you while he's thinking about things.
Kevin's description of what started this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
George, you do a really good job on gun leather. I like your holsters. I'm not going to tell you how you do your business, but who made money in the gold rush in California? J.C. Penney's or the guy out there with the gold pen? And he walked away.
Sounds like a Kevin move.
Okay, well, literally, Kevin's telling me sell products to the industry within your specialty.
Yeah.
And then he supported me on that. So I'm wanting to do lizard, like he's doing. So he had some bins of lizard to come out. So I'm looking for something really cool. Kevin goes, oh, look at this here. And I found kind of this greeny gray, right? And
I loved those.
I said, I got to buy that reasonable. He said, well, none of the great big ones. I don't know what a great big one is, And so I end up a stack of lizard like this that he sold me for probably 15% of what he retailed it for.
Probably.
And he said, none of those are great big ones. I'm like, holy crap. But then I was able to run a special, I did a video of making it using this material, said how much I kind of liked it and how I highlighted stuff, and sold it and made $2 or $3 a hide on it and told everybody you can get it at Springfield Leather.
Yeah.
I've done videos where I've come here and bought something, gone back to the shop. Look what we got at Springfield Leather. So we still use you guys. If I run short on 8 ounce, I can walk in here and grab strap. We still get our dyes here. We get our finish here. Quick tools. Everybody's very specific on their tools. Garrett's edgers are Barry King. Jake's edgers, and he can have anything. I don't care whatever the guys want. Okay. He likes the little round nose fine edgers that you have back here. That's all he uses.
Yeah.
You know, I use old Macmillans, you know, so whatever tools the guys need,
Right.
I don't question. They just come get it and go,
Right.
you know.
That's actually, I think that that's really cool that you allow your guys just to be like, you find the way. This is the finished product that I want. How do you need to go about getting it for me?
I think
Is
that's
a
done
comfortable
here a
way for
lot.
you?
I
Yeah.
think that's done here a lot. And it wasn't that way at first. And I was a really poor person at trying to over manage and stuff like that. And it almost tore us apart. And Garrett sat me down. We had a heart to heart. And he said, let me do what I do and I'll let you do what you do. And it's really made things a lot better for us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Working in a company, working with other people, most of it is not about the actual physical work that you do, but it's about the community that you have to help you get there. And the place that you come in that you actually want to be at every day. And that's the way that you're going to produce something that is something that you can be proud of. If you come in every day and you hate what you're doing and you hate who you're doing it with and who you're doing it for, you're not going to produce a good product. Right. You're going to do the least amount. But if you come in and you know that everybody else has got your back and you can do what you need to do to get whatever the product is done and made, or orders out the door or whatever, it can completely change having a job.
Oh, absolutely. It does. And, it's not just having a job too. We're a commercial manufacturing is what we do. But we've been through all the phases of the hobby up to, small business.
Yeah, you didn't start out making 600 holsters at a time.
Yeah, we're still small business. We're tiny. We're little bitty fish. But a lot of things that we do and the way we do them are lessons that were learned here from not just Kevin and Rusty, but from the employees here that were saying, hey, we're trying to do this way. A young man back when in the stitching area told me about POI, and I'm like, what's a POI? And he said, it's a purchase order for inventory. Well, we had a problem when we were doing gun shows and stuff like that. We were continually running out of stock because we got special orders, which we weren't good at.
Yeah.
If you're good at doing special orders, do it. We're not. Because it just binds us all up.
Yeah.
And he said, he said, what the concept is putting the same emphasis and weight and importance on your inventory as you do for the outgoing customer. And when we started doing that, then we weren't out of stock.
Yeah.
At
inventory is a struggle.
So see, that was an hourly wage employee here that changed the entire way we did business.
And that's why you come wander around so much.
Yeah. And the fact that I haven't been thrown out recently. So, so use your leather shops. And I mean, there's, with the internet world, I mean, you guys have a big global presence as well as.
I do always like to check in with everybody when we start doing our lives, and I'm like, who do we have with us today? And a lot of times it'll be, we got Algeria over here, we've got somebody from Germany over here, we've got Australia or New Zealand chiming in, and I'm like, this is crazy.
I know, and they may be up at 2:00 in the morning to see you, and they may even be sober.
There's was it the guy in Australia? He would always be having his dinner or like after dinner beer and joining us for our program when we were on at 11 a.m. He was finishing up his day at about 8.
Like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was fun.
How cool is that?
It is amazing. It's very humbling, frankly.
Yeah. And so there's that, but then, there's people that have the smaller leather shops around as well. And some of them may not be smaller, but they specialize in a different area. I believe in most of them that I've been to have always seemed to be very helpful. Although now, for some reason, we're kind of getting known in a few places, So I walked in and somebody said, "You're George BDC," and I'm like looking around, seeing if there's a warrant. So we've been blessed with that. And you're starting to get out to shows.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing the Sheridan one, I think maybe
Couple
for
years?
5 years
5
now.
years,
We've been
yeah.
going out to Sheridan, and we do the local farm fest here, but otherwise it is hard for us to get out and send somebody to
And
do
they
that.
just had
But
Waco.
mhm.
This year, though,
We do send coffee to all the shows, though. We make sure that everybody is caffeinated. That's what we do.
That's a good thing.
We make sure everybody's awake at the leather shows, even
But,
if we're not there.
like, the Pendleton show is a big haul away, but did you know this January, the same people that put on the Pendleton show, so Loom Magazine,
Mhm.
doing Vegas.
That's what I heard.
Oh, yeah.
I heard, yeah.
And the place they're doing it at has $1.50 hot dogs.
Is it Costco?
No. My gosh. You're a terrible person. No, they said they're like Nathan's really good, high quality hot dogs. The guy had a stand. Now he has a little store.
Oh,
there.
cool.
And you can only get 3 hot dogs at a time. But
Only
I'm going
3.
to live off of hot dogs at the show. But I really think you guys ought to. I'd love
There
to
is
see
an
you
all
in
you can eat
Vegas.
sushi place in Vegas that's pretty legit. It's like $40. You have 90 minutes and they serve you sushi as fast as you can put it down.
You will text me that.
I will.
And
It's I go there like 3 times when I'm in Vegas.
Right. And I won't
love
be
it.
able to like poop for the next 2 days. You know? But I think you should go to the Vegas show and I'll buy your sushi.
I think I actually might be there when it's going on because we're going to do FEGA, so the firearm engraving show. Anyways, I don't know. I'm in Vegas a few times a year for
Sure.
different for nice
Just to read the
things.
articles, just to do something. It has nothing
Just
to
a
do with
little
being in Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a wrap on episode 4 of the Make Something podcast. A big thank you to George Canfield for taking the time to share his story and perspective with us. If you're enjoying this podcast so far, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow maker. We've got plenty more conversations coming your way. Also, be sure to follow George. You can find him at edcleather.com and on YouTube at edcleather. Until next time, keep learning, keep creating, and most importantly, make something.